All right, it is 5 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call to order the council meeting of the East Grand Forks City Council for Tuesday, July 7th, 2026. Would the city clerk please call a roll?
Mayor Mark Rolstead.
Here.
Council President Brian Larson.
Here.
Council Vice President Tim Riopel.
Here.
Council members Tammy Schumacher.
Here.
Ben Puksvinski.
Here.
Dale Helms. Donald Caseme.
Here.
Karen Peterson.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start with open forum. Open forum is an opportunity for members of the public to address the City Council on items not on the current agenda. Items requiring council action may be deferred to staff or boards and commissions for research in future council agendas if appropriate. Do we have anyone here for open forum tonight? Okay, I see none. With that, we'll move on to the approval of minutes. We'd be seeking approval of the June 16th council meeting and the June 23rd work session.
Move.
Moved by Riopel.
Second.
Second by Peterson. Any questions or discussion on the meeting minutes? Okay, I see none. Roll call, please.
Peterson.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Schumacher.
Yes.
Puksvinski.
Yes.
Riopel.
Yes.
Helms. Caseme.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Scheduled bid lettings this week, there are none. Scheduled public hearings, there are none. That brings us to consent agenda. Items under the consent agenda will be adopted with one motion. However, council members may request individual items to be pulled from the consent agenda for discussion and action if they choose. Would any council member like to have an item 3 through 7 pulled? Okay, I see none. With that, we'd be seeking a motion for items 3 through 7, please.
Move.
Moved by Caseme.
Second.
Second by Schumacher. Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Peterson.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Schumacher.
Yes.
Puksvinski.
Yes.
Riopel.
Yes.
Helms. Caseme.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. We'll acknowledge receipt of reports of officers, boards, and commissions. This week we have the regular meeting minutes for the Water, Light, Power, and Building Commission for June 3rd, 2026, as well as the regular meeting minutes for the Water, Light, Power, and Building Commission for June 17th, 2026. That brings us up to communication. This week we have the presentation of the 2025 financial audit report. Carla, I think we'll turn it over to you if you'll open up the presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor, Council, and President. I'm introducing to you Brian Upsall. He is from Brady Martz in the Grand Forks office, and he was the lead partner in our audit.
Okay, thanks, Carla. Similar to prior years, I guess the plan of attack for this evening will go through some highlights of the audit report and open it up for questions at the end. I do have a tendency to run through things relatively quick, so if you want to slow me down, that's just fine and ask questions. Otherwise, at the end, I'll give you some time for questions as well. I'm not sure how much time you've had to look at the ACFR yet, but if you haven't had enough time and you find a question later on, I'll be happy to come back and answer questions later. So, excuse me, a couple things before I get started. Historically, we've had an audit committee letter that we no longer issue. We just verbally communicate that. So no disagreements with management, no difficulties performing the audit. We appreciate all the help that Carla and her team give us. It certainly makes our job a lot easier when we get timely responses to our questions, et cetera. So I appreciate the help. No new accounting standards that really affected the financial statements for 2025. Nothing necessarily on the horizon that's going to have a big impact either. A few odds and ends maybe through some narrative that's going to change, but nothing as far as how the financial statements are put together. One other thing that's just a kind of a, I'll call it a soapbox item. We've had a few auditees fall victim to some cyber attacks or phishing emails. So just be careful if you do pay anybody electronically. That includes direct deposit or vendors, especially when you have large projects going on. If they ever request to change their routing or account number, that make sure you take that with a grain of salt. Probably requires a phone call. That phone call, I've had a bad issue where they just asked if the employee worked there. But if there's a phone call, you need to make sure that somebody's actually requested that change and that's valid. So just had some issues there just to watch out for. So I give everybody a copy of the act for, I think you might have an electronic copy as well. I think Carla mentioned if you don't want to keep it, she'd be happy to recover those or keep those going forward. But I'll kind of go through this in order and kind of explain what these sections mean. So the first section is pages 1 through 6. This is introductory section. And what this section provides is basically the table of contents and what's called the letter of transmittal. This letter of transmittal is put together by Reed and Carla and is meant to kind of give you an idea of what's going on at the city and some things going on in the future as well. And so it provides you with a nice little 4-page snapshot of what's going on at East Grand Forks for 2025. This section also includes there's a certificate of achievement that you get for putting this financial statement together and getting it approved by the Government Finance Officer Association, or the GFOA, and then an organization chart and elected officials listing. So that's what that section is kind of doing, just more informative. The next section is the financial section, which starts on page 7 and 8, and this is the independent auditor's report. This is where we've come in and issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, so that it's considered a good or a clean opinion, that the financial statements are fairly stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, or GAAP. Keep in mind, it is management's responsibility for the financial statements as well as the footnotes. And then our responsibility as auditors to come and ensure that they're reasonably stated. And that's what our opinion is stating, is that we believe that they are. The next section, pages 9 through 17, this is management's discussion and analysis section. This also provides a narrative of what happened during the year and does provide some comparative information. So a lot of the financials that you're going to see are just basically a 1 year. But this does provide some comparative information on a condensed level. So it might generate a question or two, or at least a starting point to kind of indicate, why something went up or down compared to the prior year. Like I said, this section, if you're going to just kind of go through and want a quick read of the financials, this would be the section I'd take a look at. There should be a narrative as to some of the whys, why something went up or down. The first audited financial statement starts on pages 18 and 19, and this is known as the statement of net position. Very similar to a balance sheet, this arrives at the bottom of net position, which would be considered like your equity or retained earnings on a full accrual level. And what full accrual basically just means that we're bringing in your capital assets and depreciating those. If you've got leases, like your long-term debt, that's all included here, as opposed to some of your fund financial statements, which we'll get to in a minute, which is where you kind of make your budgetary decisions, et cetera. So this is a little bit more inclusive of everything that you might have. If you look on the bottom of page 19, that third column of numbers, total is $205,532,746. That is your overall net position. Included in that number is about $162 million of your capital assets, net of your debt, as well as a handful of restricted areas. The number we like to look at is the second from the bottom line, that unrestricted portion. That's not tied into your capital assets. It's not tied into any restrictions, but almost $33 million in unrestricted net position. So that's kind of the number we look at for financial health. I believe that number was up from the prior year on a full accrual level. If you flip the page to page 20, this is the statement of activities, and you're going to see 3 lines to the bottom, the overall changes. We have the first column at the bottom is your governmental activities, so your general fund, your special revenue funds, debt service funds, those are up about $46,000. Then it comes your business type activities, but that was up $2,771,599, and we'll see this in more detail here in a minute. And then all the way on the right, you're going to see the component unit, which would be your EDA funds. those were up about $91,000, $92,000. So that kind of gives you an idea of the changes in the current year. Then we get to the fund financial statements. And so page 21 is going to show basically the governmental funds. The first column of numbers, that's your general fund. 2 lines from the bottom, you can see your overall fund balance is $9,167,650. So those will be available for general fund spending. There's no restrictions in your general fund dollars at this point in time. One thing I guess I'll bring up, since it's visible on this page, that current city projects fund, if you look, that third column of numbers has a deficit net position at year end. So one of the things we like to look at for financial health is what kind of funds might have deficits, and just make sure that everybody's aware that there's a plan in place, or hopefully put a plan in place to get that fund whole again. Typically, these kind of projects are funded either through grants that might be lagging in time or new debt. And I know you did take some new debt on in 2026 that might help cover whatever projects that you're planning on taking on. So I just want to point that out. And we'll get to, there's a deficit in the non-major funds as well that we'll get to in a minute. If you flip the page over to page 23, this is going to be the changes within each one of those funds. About, looks like about 5 lines from the bottom, you can see the general fund was up $979,651. And your capital projects fund was up $285,623. And so that is after transfers. That current city's project fund, as I mentioned before, did go down about $180,000, and that's going to come and go based off of what kind of projects that you have. Overall, your general funds were up $2,116,811. Then comes your budgetary comparison schedule for the general fund on page 25. Page 25 is really just a summary of your budget, and in the back of the financials we have a much more detailed budget by line item, but this kind of gives you an idea. That number that you see on the bottom right is going to be the difference between what you had anticipated and what actually happened. So you anticipated a $379,000 deficit, ended with a $979,000 positive. So actually a positive variance of about $1.35 million. And this can happen for a variety of reasons. Obviously, a little bit of more revenues than anticipated, as well as less expenses than anticipated. Sometimes projects don't get going as soon as you anticipated. That can play a factor in this as well. So just keep that in mind.
Personnel, too.
Personnel. Yep. Pages 26 and 27, this starts your enterprise funds or proprietary funds. So these funds would basically be funded through charges for services as opposed to grants or taxes. And so if you look on the bottom of page 27, you're going to see the net position in all of these different funds. The first 2 funds, electric and water, they have their own separate audit, which I presented that to the Water and Light Department about a month ago, I suppose. So those have been audited and then rolled back into this financial statement. And then if you look on the bottom, all the funds do have a positive overall fund balance. The only one I guess I'll point out is the refuse fund. If you look 2 lines to the bottom, 2 lines to the bottom, you do have a negative unrestricted amount of about $398,000. So even though the fund in total is positive, part of that is just basically your infrastructure. So just something to keep an eye on. And then when we go to the change in the net position, you're going to see kind of what happened here during 2025. So if you flip to page 28, 3 lines to the bottom, you're going to see the overall changes. So the electric fund was up about $2.3 million, water was up $378,000, sewage was down about $14,500. Keep in mind these numbers do include depreciation expense, so some of this would be non-cash type items, but I wanted to bring that to your attention. And then that refuse fund, if you look, that's down about $73,700. So once again, already has a negative. It looked like it would have went down a little bit more this year. Depreciation was about $81,000 of that number, but just something maybe take a peek at just to make sure rates are being kept up and trying to. These funds are meant to have a positive fund balance and at least maintain, if not grow a little bit. Then we get to the cash flow statement for these proprietary funds. Page 29, you're going to see 3 lines to the bottom, the overall cash increase or decrease. The total column shows cash increase of about $2.8 million overall, and then it's broken down by fund. This is always subject to some timing differences, so if you paid a bill early or late, or received some grants or some money early, you're going to have some swings, but overall, this usually does coincide a little bit with financial health and making sure that you're cash flowing your proprietary funds, which you are, at least for electric and water, and then overall, some of the other funds did have deficits for 2025. Then we get into the footnotes to the financial statements, which are the next several pages, pages 31 through 51. I typically don't go into any detail here, but if you want me to circle back, I'd be happy to. This has lots of information on your policies, changes in your fixed asset schedules, your long-term debt schedules, et cetera. So for right now, we're going to go to the next tab, which is your non-major funds, which starts on page 58. And so page 58 then starts breaking out more of the funds. So some of the items were combined on the front of the financial statements, and then they kind of get broken down into detail as we move along. So for example, if you look on page 61, 61 is going to show you the different funds that make up the non-major fund column in the front of the financial statements. Once again, 2 lines to the bottom, we're focusing for red flags if there's any deficits. The cemetery fund does have a deficit, but a little over $10,000. I believe part of this was maybe planned with some projects that you had going on at the cemetery, but just want to bring that to your attention, make sure that that gets, I guess, addressed or make sure that you're aware of it as you go forward. Then as we go to page 75, page 75 shows your internal service funds. And so I know we talked about this in years past, but one of your internal service funds, the benefit accrual fund, also has a deficit, about $120,000. We talked about this, I think, the last couple of years. The deficit reduced by about $28,000 during the year, so I think this has been kind of reviewed and addressed, but just want to point that out just to keep that on your mind as you go through these financial statements. Then we get to page 79, starts some other supplemental information. So as I mentioned at the front of the financials, we had a budget to actual for the general fund, basically summarized. Pages 79 through 88 really breaks this budget down by line items so you can kind of see which specific areas were over under budget during the year. So like I said, lots of detail there. If nothing else, it certainly helps generate a question and helps for budgeting going forward as well. Pages 89 through 94. That EDA fund that we have at the front of the financials that I mentioned is broken into different categories. There's a housing component and an economic development component. And so pages 89 through 94 kind of breaks out all the different components that you have in that as well. So if you're looking to just kind of disaggregate some of the data, this would be the section that I'd look at for that. And then pages 95 through 121. One of the requirements for the ACFR to get that certificate is for these statistical pages to be in here. And so it does provide lots of information over a course of sometimes up to 10 years. Things like your tax rates, your levies, lots of financial trends, revenue, capacity, et cetera. So this section, like I said, I'd take a peek at. It might help generate a question or two, but I'm going to skip over that for right now and just bring it to the last letter that we have in the financial statements, which is on pages 122 and 123. So the last 2 pages, this is our what we call the Government Auditing Standards Report, as well as the Minnesota Legal Compliance letter. And we have no findings or issues when we did this testing. Things like conflicts of interest, bid work, collateral, as well as your overall internal control structure, ability to put these financial statements together, all that stuff kind of rolls into here. And we have a clean report for this. So overall, that, I guess, the run through the ACFR. I do have one other loose handout that I'll probably just go through very briefly before I ask if there's any questions. As we go through the audit, sometimes there's things that pop up that we see that we want to bring to your attention that aren't what we call a finding, but something maybe for you to consider. So one thing I kind of already brought up was that cemetery fund did have a deficit, about $131,000 before transfers. Part of this was budgeted, so there's no surprise there, but that was kind of the driver of why we started looking at this. And also, we noted that that fund has some old accounts receivable for some plots that have been, I think, reserved that just haven't been paid for. So just one of those things that we want to make sure that policies are being followed as far as collections, et cetera, for the cemetery. And then the late payment of bills, that's more, the state of Minnesota requires bills to be paid within 35 days of receipt. And so sometimes, depending on where that bill gets sent, it doesn't make it to the finance to actually pay the bill right away. So just maybe take a look at your policies to ensure that all the department heads, if they're receiving bills, that are getting those promptly sent to finance, just to alleviate any kind of problems going forward. So yeah, that was a very quick run through. I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the council? Anything from you, Reed? No, good for me. Okay. All right, we really appreciate that. Great job to everyone involved, and great job, Carla. Thank you for the overview.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, let's see, that brings us to old business. This week we have none. And then moving into new business, item number 11, consider authorizing resolution number 26-07-61, approving the fire department to accept the turnout gear dryer reimbursement grant award of $6,830 and authorize the equipment purchase. Moved by Pukshavinsky.
Second.
Second by Peterson. Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Peterson?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Schumacher?
Yes.
Pukshavinsky?
Yes.
Riepel?
Yes.
Helms? Kazmi?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Item number 12, consider approving resolution number 26-07-62 for the City of East Grand Forks to enter into an agreement with the Minnesota DOT for the FY 2027 Transit Operating Grant. Moved by Riepel.
Second.
Second by Pukshavinsky. Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Peterson?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Schumacher?
Yes.
Pukshavinsky?
Yes.
Riepel?
Yes.
Helms? Kazmi?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Item number 13, consider adopting resolution number 26-07-63, authorizing the hire of Mr. Travis Rambel to the position of Public Works Wastewater Stormwater Operator at Grade 13, Step 8, at a rate of $34.94 per hour with an effective start date of July 8th, 2026. Moved by Peterson.
Second.
Second by Schumacher. Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Peterson?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Schumacher?
Yes.
Pukshavinsky?
Yes.
Riepel?
Yes.
Helms? Kazmi?
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes. Item number 14, contingent upon approval of Mr. Ramble's promotion to the Public Works Wastewater Stormwater Operator position, consider adopting resolution number 26-07-64, authorizing staff to advertise and initiate the civil service hiring process for the vacant equipment operator position. Moved by Kazmi.
Second.
Second by Pukshavinsky. Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Peterson?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Schumacher?
Yes.
Pukshavinsky?
Yes.
Riepel?
Yes.
Helms? Kazmi?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Item number 15, consider adopting resolution number 26-07-65, authorizing the hiring of Ms. Sarah Chambeau to the position of Public Works Administrative Assistant at Grade 10, Step 1, at a rate of $23 per hour, with an advancement to Grade 10, Step 2, at a rate of $23.98 per hour upon successful completion of a 6-month probationary period. Moved by Peterson.
Second.
Second by Riepel. Any questions or discussion?
I've got a question on the way it's written.
Yep, go ahead, Don.
Hire her at a rate of $23 per hour. My opinion is that's where it should stop. Nowhere else do we say what we're going to raise them to if they're successful doing anything. I don't like the way it's written.
Okay, thank you, Don. Reed, any feedback for Councilmember Casey?
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Casey and members. I apologize, I missed the work session that this was discussed on, but the thought process here is Ms. Shamba has been a temporary employee working in our Public Works Department in this position for about 7 or 8 months now. In our adopted pay plan, once an employee meets a 1-year calendar, at their annual review, if they meet or exceed expectations, then they get a step increase, which they would, in this case, would move to step 2. So the thought process here is giving her some credit for time served already, even though it was already in a temporary role. And when she meets the 6-month probationary period, she'd have a review at that point. As long as she meets or exceeds expectations at that 6-month review, then she'd move to step 2. That's the way it's proposed. Mr. Casey, to your point and just kind of mechanics of it, if you would want to see that change, you could certainly make a motion to have the resolution amended, and then there would need to be a second to that amendment if you'd like the council to consider that.
Thanks, Reed. Any follow-up? Okay.
Brian, I've got a question.
Go ahead,
Sorry. And this might be for Jason. What's her start date going to be listed at for, I guess, when she moves to step 3, provided she's here at that time? Is she moving to step 3 a year from now?
Yeah, her start date would be tomorrow.
Yep.
And then 6 months from then, she would move to step 2. And a year from now, then she would be at step 3.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Any further questions? Okay, hearing none or any amended motions, roll call, please.
Peterson,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Schumacher,
Yes.
Pakshavinsky,
Yes.
Riepel,
Yes.
Helms, Casey.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Item number 16, consider adopting resolution number 27-07-66, awarding the Reinhardt Road Southeast Repair Project to R.J. Zavril & Sons in the amount of $27,360 and authorize staff to proceed with the work.
Move.
Moved by Riepel,
Second.
second by Peterson. Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Peterson,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Schumacher,
Yes.
Pakshavinsky,
Yes.
Riepel,
Yes.
Helms, Casey.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Item number 17, consider adopting resolution number 26-07-67, awarding the Bigland Road Southeast Repair Project to R.J. Zavril & Sons in the amount of $53,791.00 and authorize staff to proceed with the work.
Move.
Moved by Riepel,
Second.
second by Casey. Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Peterson,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Schumacher,
Yes.
Pakshavinsky,
Yes.
Riepel,
Yes.
Helms, Casey.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. That brings us to item number 18. Consider adopting resolution number 26-07-68, authorizing the hiring of Mr. Jorgen Erickson to the position of Parks and Recreation Superintendent at a grade 20, step 1, with an annual salary of $89,575.55.
Move.
Moved by Riepel,
Second.
second by Pakshavinsky. Any questions or discussion? Mr. Riepel.
Question on that, weren't we going to change that to Park and Recreation Director? or is that something we have to do?
Thank you, Councilmember Riopel. We had some discussion about that in the interview, as you all recall. I think what I'd like to do with that is do some more research on it with David Drown and Associates, our human resources consultant, to best weigh what the title change and the impact of said title change could be. And then because it's a union position, there may be some discussion with the union that needs to be had with that as well.
Okay, thank you.
With his approval, if he's approved tonight, do we know his start date?
We are tentatively looking at Monday, August 3rd for a start date. There are still a few items pending with that, with his need to relocate, to move here. But that's the most recent discussion as of this morning that we had.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please.
Peterson,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Schumacher,
Yes.
Puckschwinski.
Yes.
Riopel,
Yes.
Helms, Caseme.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. That brings us to claims. We have item number 19, consider authorizing the city administrator, clerk treasurer to issue payment for accounts payable invoices totaling $610,493.12 and the June 26th, 2026 payroll. Moved by Caseme,
Second.
second by Peterson. Go ahead, Reed. Did you have an item?
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. President, that dollar amount sounds wrong to me. Do you have the claims down there, Renee? There are two claims. There was a late one that came in.
Sure.
Oh, it is. Yes.
You ran a
sorry.
late check register.
Yep, it's $1,687,472.54.
Okay, if you bring that over to me, Renee, I'll make an amended motion, and then we'll see if Mr. Caseme, and then who seconded that?
Peterson.
Ms. Peterson will agree to that. Okay. It's this total amount here.
Yes.
1687. Okay. Correct. Yeah, I'm going to request that we amend the motion for the city administrator, clerk treasurer to issue payment for accounts payable invoices totaling $1,687,472.54 and the June 26, 2026 payroll. So with that, we'd be looking for approval from Mr. Caseme and then Ms. Peterson.
That's fine, yeah.
Did I follow that right, Ron?
Yep.
Okay. We'll say it's close enough. Okay. Any questions or discussion on the amended motion? If not, roll call, please.
Peterson,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Schumacher,
Yes.
Puckschwinski,
Yes.
Riopel,
Yes.
Helms, Caseme.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. That brings us to council and staff reports for this evening. We'll start with Mayor Olsted.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, congratulations to Travis and Sarah. Hope we worked here a long time. So also look forward to working with Jorgen. I'm excited to see what he has ideas and plans and what he's going to do for the Park and Rec Department. So look forward to that. So hopefully can start soon enough. So thanks. That's all I got.
Thank you. Councilmember Schumacher.
Nothing tonight, thanks.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Puckschwinski.
I have no words for tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Riopel.
Nothing, thank you.
All right. Councilmember Caseme.
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Peterson.
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. I'll also extend my congratulations to Travis and Sarah, and apologize if I butchered your last names. I tried my best, and I'm sure it wasn't quite right, so bear with me. But looking forward to getting to know you both and working with you. Thank you. Mr. Hutton.
Yeah, thank you. Couple of updates tonight. Arena project again, kind of weekly update there. On June 24th, the ice floor at the Civic Center was poured. It sounds like that went very well. It is now in a 28-day wet cure cycle, so if you walked in, there's a big plastic poly tarp over top of the floor so we can keep the heat down on the new slab. So that is progressing positively. On the exterior of the building, the parking lot, the subgrade work is ongoing. You'll see some activity on curb and gutter and sidewalk work within the next week that they're working on as we speak. And then over the next couple of weeks, I'd expect we'll start to see the asphalt parking lot replacement be completed. Over at the VFW, the cooling and refrigeration company has now moved over there to start prepping for that pour of the ice floor. They're working on subgrade, and piping will start soon. Looking at targeting the first week of August for the ice floor to be poured at the VFW. And then the exterior load-bearing walls on kind of that southeast corner where the new refrigeration room and ice resurfacer room will be, those walls are going up this week. And as early as next week, we should start to see some earthwork with the associated work involved in the new parking lot at the VFW. So good progress there being made, a lot more to be done in the next few months. And then one other notice, filing dates are going to open soon for city council positions. The filing period starts July 14th and runs through July 28th. There are 3 positions that'll be up for election this year, Ward 2, Ward 4, and 1 at-large member. And just biggest reminder there is if anyone is interested in filing, to come to the city administrator's office, the admin side of the building, Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. And there is a $2 filing fee if you are interested in filing for those positions. And that's to be on the November 3rd general election. That's it.
All right, thanks, Reed. Mr. Gallstead.
I just hope everybody had a wonderful 4th of July, and I see everybody here came back with all their appendages.
So far, so good. Okay, and Mr. Emery.
Thank you. A couple updates for you. Bike trail project, all the black dirt work was completed basically end of last week, so I think all the trails were open for the long weekend. Hoping they were going to get the seeding this week, but looks like actually the seeding is going to be completed now next week. So, but that should be the last of that work. So things are looking good. The Blue Peak project, district, I guess DA4, let's call it, or no, sorry, DA5. They have finished all the fiber work, the testing, and sounds like they're starting to get some customers hooked up. Sounds like they have 1 or 2 so far that have hooked up. So they are just finishing up all of the conduit work in DA6, and will be starting to pull fiber through those conduits. And then they're actually probably tomorrow they'll be starting kind of on the 3rd area, which is DA4. So everything is progressing well. They got concrete guys kind of right behind them doing the concrete restoration. Seeding is being completed. So, you know, we continue to have kind of meet at our weekly utility meeting, and everyone seems to be happy with their performance. So going real well. I still don't think we're probably going to see any work on the south end this year, as we've not really even seen any plans for the south end. And I don't know, they're working on permitting and stuff too for that work. So, but overall, very, very happy with the work that they're doing. So.
Okay. Any updates from the department heads? Yeah. Hi, Lacey.
Oh, I figured I would take advantage of this and give you some updates of what we have coming up at the library in the coming weeks. We have Art in the Park next Tuesday on the 14th with Brenda Balmer. That starts at 6 p.m. and that is in partnership with Parks and Rec. They're at Sherlock Park. And then it is funded through the Northwest Minnesota Art Council. So that's a fun event. We have 3 of those in the summer. We've had one last month, one next week, and then one in August with Trey Everett as well. So we encourage you all to come out to that free art in our community. We also, our sensory garden is complete. Thank you to Public Works for bringing over not only soil, but mulch and helping us shovel it all in there, because I'm not very strong with shovels, so thank you for that. Dale Helms also contributed the T-posts. He purchased those for us, and also got Heritage Village to donate some trellises. And so I encourage you to come over and look at that, or to wait a few weeks as everything grows with this rain. It'll be pretty cool. And then just an update in our building that we had a light cable snap. And so we had kind of some building repair this last week. And I wanted to say thank you to Eagle Electric and Sunny, our maintenance worker, that were there even before I was the next morning and worked on it for about 3 days. We'll have some upcoming repair with that as well. So we have part of the library kind of sectioned off while we get that work done. So let's see if thanks. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, any other updates? Okay, with that, we'll be looking for a motion to adjourn. Oh, moved by Pukshavinsky.
Second.
Second by Peterson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes and meeting is closed. Thank you, everyone.